complete and perfect alignment with your highest potential. Is this possible? How do we bring this about? And what does this even mean? The highest potential means something that will give us this sense of complete rest and fulfillment. Because isn't that what we're looking for? Isn't that why we drive right down to the edge of our goal, push over the edge? Isn't what we're looking for that sense of fulfillment, that hit of, oh, I've done it. And for just a moment, however long that moment lasts, there is a sense of resting. Now, what would life be like if we weren't driven by that taste of resting, by trying to get that next hit, by trying to get that next hit of fulfillment, of achievement? We have many beautiful words for it, and it's all perfectly awesome. But what about this vision? What about the vision of feeling fulfilled in each moment as you go along? Sure, there's going to be peaks and valleys, and yet all along these peaks and valleys, you notice that you have arrived. In this moment, you have arrived. That sense of having arrived comes from the understanding, the deep intuitive and holistic understanding that I am following my calling. I am following my highest unfolding. The highest unfolding is happening through me right in this moment. The truth is that the highest unfolding is happening through you in each and every moment, as it is through me, as it is through absolutely everyone. Everyone at every moment is doing their absolute best. Of course they are, and of course you are. Even in the moment when it feels like you're completely failing, that is the absolute best of that particular moment, of that expression of consciousness in that particular context. But having an intellectual understanding about it, or having a belief about it, no matter how deep the belief or how shallow, it is of no avail, and it is of no real use. It is of no real value to you, because that belief is a very poor substitute for the experience of fulfillment at every step along the way. Now, how do we come to this experience rather than just an intellectual understanding? How do we get the felt understanding of having arrived? In this moment, having arrived. Is it possible? Is it possible that life can unfold in such a way that every moment appears to you as complete? It sure is. In my experience, there's undeniably many times throughout the day that I have no sense of completion or fulfillment and know nothing about it, and I'm striving towards some future goal, hoping to get to a certain destination. And that's perfectly beautiful and fine and a magnificent play, a magnificent experience of simply being human. That's why we're here, isn't it? So, what about this feeling of completion? How do we come about that? In my experience, whenever I check in through a process that I'll be sharing with you in just a moment, I may be in the middle of the biggest rush to get to the greatest destination, to achieve the highest goal, and if I just check in into the space of that intuitive understanding, it is very clear to me, oh, in this moment, it is perfectly complete. And in the next moment, I could drop that and again be full blown into the game. But any moment I check, this is what I've learned, that any moment I check for that completion or incompletion, any moment I inquire, the confirmation is always the same, and that's the confirmation of fulfillment, rest, and completion. How do we inquire? I'm going to share 2 ways. The first way to inquire into being in that perfect alignment with your highest potential, your highest unfolding, is through connecting with, should we call it the inner teacher? Should we call it the Atman? Should we call it the Holy Spirit? Should we call it that capacity of consciousness that is present and available to us now, that guides us through every moment of life? It is that aspect of consciousness that's purely awake, that is the intelligence of the universe, that is the intelligence of the whole. You see, if you imagine the universe as one big ball, and this ball is alive and intelligent, then surely this ball is in, let's say, control of each of its individual parts. Something must be in control. This is what we call divine will, divine ordinance. So that something is immediately accessible to us, and is very directly accessible through many means. But perhaps one of the easiest places to start this contact, to start this exploration, if you haven't yet, and it's very worthwhile, because the experience of it can blow your mind. One of the best and easiest places to start is by asking a question. Asking a question of this intelligence. And one way that I've discovered to be one of the most powerful and most clear ways to do it is to sit down with a pad of paper and a pen. Sit down one day, and even if you don't believe that such a thing exists, even if you're just curious or doubtful or anything, but as long as there's that, glint of opening and possibility there for you, then sit down and write a question directed to this universal intelligence. Direct it straight to consciousness and say, "Dear Holy Spirit," this is the classical Christian terminology for it, or "Dear Atman," or "Dear inner teacher," inner guru, whatever you want to name it. The name is not in any way pertinent. And write your question. For example, your question might be, what am I to do this week? Or what am I to do with this particular relationship? Or what is my purpose in life? Or how do I get over this particular constriction, this particular problem that I'm having, the problem with so and so and so, and just describe it. Describe it as if you were asking your best friend a question, and write it down. Write it down, sign off, close the pad of paper, and just leave it. Leave it for a day. Leave it for 2 days. Don't leave it for too long. Come back to it. Come back to it and open the pad of paper. But before you begin reading it, just check in with yourself and just ask. Just ask that part of consciousness to which this letter is addressed, that it may answer it through you, that it may read these words and respond to you. If you pray, ask it in a prayer. If you care not at all for prayer, ask it as if you're talking to a wall. But rather, aim it as if with a childlike innocence you are willing to explore this possibility. Aim it straight into that inner space of wisdom and intelligence. And it is there, and it will answer you. So as you do that, now just pretend, imagine, play, as if you are that universal intelligence, and begin reading. Begin reading your question. And as you read the question, you finish reading it, put your pen down again to that pad of paper, just underneath the question. And play. Pretend you are that universal intelligence and begin to write the answer. From your highest place of knowing, just allow it to come through. If you think this is completely silly and it doesn't work, give it a try anyway. See what happens. Maybe it'll be worth a laugh. Okay? And if it does work, what a magnificent discovery! What a mind-blowing discovery! To hear divine intelligence, to feel divine intelligence, universal intelligence, holistic intelligence flow through you and answer you in the most direct and personal way possible. If you tap into it, the flavor and the scent of it is love, deep caring, deep compassion to anything that you share with it. And it is an experience that's completely unforgettable, but completely repeatable. That's the first way. That's the first way of asking for the confirmation that you are exactly where you're meant to be. And more so than that, it reveals to you that next step in your journey, if you ask it. And if you follow it through and watch the fruits from that follow-through, you'll be amazed as I was. And the second way is more of an Advaita way. This way of simply inquiring into your direct experience, about that sense of completion. If you inquire directly into your experience and ask just a simple question like, what is missing from this moment? You ask it not of your mind, but you ask it of the moment itself. What is missing from this moment? And if you don't refer to your thought, it will suddenly or gradually dawn on you that there's absolutely nothing that could be missing from this moment, and that this question doesn't even make sense. You will see with absolute certainty that each moment is perfectly complete and nothing could be different than it is. In this exact moment, I can only be in exactly this position and in none other. The mind may present a hypothetical possibility that I may sit like this, but that's just a thought. If we don't refer to thought, we will start to taste more and more directly and more intimately the purity of direct experience, the purity of this ineffable existence. And it tastes sweet. So try these two ways. But if you combine them, if you discover within that space, within you that space where the Holy Spirit abides, that space of universal consciousness, that space of love and compassion and pure intelligence, and within your inquiry into the direct experience of this moment, as you direct it into this moment with a mindfulness of that loving divine intelligence that is present here now, that combination opens you up to a very profound experience of bliss, of confirmation, of complete rest. The kind of rest that you're looking for when you get to the end of blank. You don't have to get to the end of anything. It is right here, right now, always, forever. Enjoy yourself.